Yes, it is definitely live and it's recording. Afternoon, everybody. It is 6 o'clock for me. I'm over here in Spain. I'm on my own profile, so I don't need to do any crazy introductions because everyone's going to know exactly where they are. Um, Today, something that I've been organising over the last couple of weeks and something I'm quite looking forward to, talking to a gentleman who was famous up and down the country long before I was, and we share the same name, and it's pretty weird. Really, this is the first time that I've ever spoken to him. We've just done a very quick introduction to make sure the sound and the video is correct, but we're going to get to know each other live on air. Sounds a little bit seedy, that doesn't it? May I introduce Andy Ward? Welcome along to my profile. Welcome along to my wall.
Good
And
afternoon, Andy Ward.
I can see that the comments are working. So Jane Harrington is there. Good afternoon, Jane. That link that I gave you, Andy, does that work now? If you click on that, can you see the comments?
No.
No. Okay. Maybe if you just go onto my profile, then you might be able to see the comments there. And that was a bit weird then when I addressed you. How do you actually like to be addressed? Is it Andy, Andrew?
Yeah, I get Wardy a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. How about you?
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah,
Unless it's my mum and she calls me Andrew and I've been
yeah,
naughty.
yeah. Sunday name.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll do a very quick recap from my point of view, and I'm sure we'll bounce backwards and forwards.
Yeah,
And as I say, this is just a live chat, and if we do get people watching us, then brilliant. And some people will come back and watch the recording. I started DJing late 1991. I got some decks. And I started messing around in and around Birmingham. 92 started to get a little bit better. 93 I started a residency at a place in Birmingham called Marco Polo's, and over those years I started to make a little bit of a name for myself. But when I started off, I actually wanted to call myself Ward E on the end, like everybody did back in the day.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
an
yeah.
old hardcore rave head. So yeah, Wardy I was for a little while, and then I just
Right.
thought, now I'm going to sack that off. I'll call myself Andy Ward, and I don't even remember how, when, or where. But eventually, I realised there was another Andy Ward up north. I think someone told me they'd seen my name in Mixmag, and I was blown away. But I was also like, oh, I can't believe I've used a different DJ's name. If I'd have known that, I would have stuck with Wardy because I probably would have never gone with that.
Yeah.
Uh, the first thing that came to me wasn't like, who's this DJ using my name? Because you were playing at a really big club back then. So tell us about how you got into when you started DJing and what you were doing around
So
about that time.
yeah, so I went to. I'm from Manchester originally, so I went over to Leeds to go to uni. And there's another friend of a mutual friend of ours who comes to your vocal booth weekend called Cy Gaskell.
Yeah,
Um, and between us, we were both really into the kind of the mix scene, and we listened to Chad Jackson and all the big DMC mixes and everything, and really heavily into the music side of things. And so when we got to uni, he went to uni as well. He bought a deck, I bought a deck, and then we just kind of got just practiced a lot. And he's always been really good at kind of getting in places, and he's got the gift of the gab and so on. So he got a gig at the local polytechnic, which was just a really good experience. It was a proper play everything across the board kind of thing, but it was quite a good kind of learning experience going from kind of that big jump from playing in your bedroom to 1,000 really leathered students on a Saturday night. But it was yeah, it was all right.
remind me. I'm sorry. Did you say what year that would have been?
That would have been about 1990.
Right.
Yeah, 1990, 91 sort of time. And then there was a lad who was on my course. He got kicked off, and then he started working in a clothes shop in Leeds. And then all the promoters always used to come round all the clothes shops and everything, dropping flyers off and everything. So he ended up getting a job doing all the promotions and flyers for the big nights that were developing in Leeds at the time, which were Chaos and Soak, which was in the days before Up Your Ronson. And then I got in through the back door, kind of through him. Got to meet the promoters and so on. I'm not very pushy, so it was just a case of, fortunately, one night they were a DJ short. It was a Chaos third birthday, I think it was. And they said, look, grab your tunes, we need you to play. So I played that night, and the promoter's wife really enjoyed the set and everything, so she put in a good word for me. And then a few weeks later, they start the Up Your Ronson night, and then they needed somebody there. So, and then the rest was being in the right place at the right time, and just a residency there for quite a few years, which was great.
Brilliant. I never made it to an Up Your Ronson. I went to Leeds a few times. I think the first time I ever went would have been with Lee at Back to Basics.
Yeah.
And then after after the heyday of Back to Basics, I started to play a lot more. I was going to a lot of other events. I remember one night we ended up going to Speed Queen.
All right. Yes. Yeah.
Which was like a total experience, to say
Yeah.
the least.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's probably, it's strange how our paths have never crossed.
Yeah. But Lee always talks highly of you, so I knew that we had that in common, that we both knew Lee, because I used to see Lee quite a lot, because I used to go to Basics quite a lot on the Saturday, where he used to be obviously doing the same sort of slots as we were doing. So I've known Lee for a lot of years, and just recently I've seen that you played for his Soulful House DJs a few weeks back as well, didn't you? So that was good. He made the call a few. We got back in touch this time last year, I think it was, just to see how things were going through all this lot. And he said, "Look, I'm planning on doing a few streams. You fancy having a go?" So that was good.
Well, it was crazy because when I can't even remember what it, as we were just saying, I can't even remember what it was that made me reach out to you and suggest that we have a little conversation, just to say hello, I guess, and to do this. But you surprised me when you said that you aren't actually Andy Ward.
No. So you were saying that you were a bit gutted that you'd use your name because there was another Andy Ward. Well, it's not. Yeah, as I said to you in the pre bit, it's not actually my real name. So my real name, you see, is Wallwork. Which the thing with that is, you see, the club promoters just could not get their heads around that at the end of the night. It's like, cheers to Andy Wall. So Wallwork. So they, in fact, they picked it for me. So it just came around one night and said, right, from now on, you're Andy Ward, which was interesting. But yeah, it's got it. So all the lads who I know, and all the other DJs and so on, the residents and so on, yeah, I've always been Wardy to them, really. And everybody else who knows me and stuff from the clubbing scene, that is. It's all Andy Ward. But yeah, I'm sorry I pinched your name, mate.
Oh, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Funny though.
Yeah.
It really is funny.
It was one of those things where at the time it was kind of a big thing about choosing your name and having something that really stood out, something a bit catchy and things like that. And you went for Wardy, which, to be fair, I like that. That's yeah.
In apostrophes, Wardy.
Yeah.
I'm glad I dropped it though, to be fair, because I don't know how long I could have walked around in them Jester bottoms.
So were you into the kind of the heavier versions, the more rave stuff early on?
Yeah, that's how it all started off for me. I think for all of us, wasn't it? Especially in Birmingham, on the soul funk hip hop scene, then progressed into the soul or dayers. Started going up to Prestatin weekenders, Prestatin soul weekenders with a lot of the lads. That would have been 87, 88. And I remember being at the soul weekenders, just on the cusp of the crossover, so to speak, dancing to A Tribe Called Quest or Soul to Soul, and then slowly hearing this Chicago house bleeding through. I don't really have the memory. I can't regale all of the tales of specifics, but it was literally, it got to the point that one of the nights the fireworks were going off, and one of the lads had we were young, 16, 17, 18 at our crew, and then
yeah,
someone pulled out a bottle of poppers kind of thing, and that was it. That was, it was all uphill from there. But yeah, that was the changeover. So to answer your question, that's how I got into the house scene. It
yeah,
predominantly was house, that early Chicago sound,
yeah, yeah,
and then as the rave scene expanded, we got into the slightly harder sound. Just when I started DJing, 91, 92, I was buying a lot of records on, off the top of my head, XL Records,
yeah,
Prodigy,
yeah,
all that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Dominator,
yeah, yeah,
Frank the Wolf, all those
yeah,
kind. But then
yeah,
then it started to, we used to say it got a little bit acid teddy then, and we started to go more into the mellow side of the house
yeah,
scene, the more handbag house it later
yeah,
became.
yeah, yeah.
and
Similar.
then and then I got into my own soulful house garage sound in
Yeah,
later years, but I think we
yeah.
all pretty much followed the same path, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing about it is that we were along sort of similar sort of musical lines as well, really. But because I did the same sort of thing, I kind of went through a similar bit with I was never really massively into the really harder rave stuff. I went to a few before I started DJing, but then like with you, it then kind of went split into two a bit more, and I kind of went more down the American kind of US garage kind of vocals kind of stuff, and all the kind of strictly rhythm and tribal stuff, and all that sort of stuff really, and just a lot of
See,
vocals
I,
as
I
well.
always I always perceived, and I've got no reason to do that. I always thought you played slightly harder. I don't know why.
Really,
Yeah, I don't know why, where I got that, or in my memories, I thought you did, but
right?
I never heard a tape because people
Yeah,
most people will realize before the internet, before the
yeah,
radio,
yeah,
before radio stations were syndicated in the early 90s,
yeah,
because it eventually then when Galaxy came along, and they were syndicated in Manchester, Leeds,
yeah,
Bradford,
yeah,
Birmingham, not Bradford, Bristol, Birmingham. There was a possible chance of being able to listen to the same thing. But
yes,
yeah, that surprises me that you say we played, because I would have thought we could have even clashed or got booked for the wrong gigs,
yeah.
or things like that, which never seemed to have
No,
happened.
no, no. So did you play a lot out of Birmingham?
I did not until I think I had a lot of residencies in Birmingham,
Yeah,
and then it took me a long time to sort of like break down the uh, to break down the resolve of the local promoters. So eventually I got to play at a place called the Steering Wheel Fun at the Steering Wheel, which was like one of the biggest places in
yeah,
Birmingham. Wobble, as you mentioned,
yeah,
I got to play at on a Saturday every now and again, and then I had residencies at the same venue where Wobble was, but on a Friday for a night
yeah,
called Crunch and Slag.
yeah,
Um, and then eventually, I got a gig down in London. I played at Bagley's. Remember the Mud Club at
yeah, yeah,
Bagley's, which was like a
yeah,
really big club. And I did some coach. Someone who came to my event that I used to do on a Sunday morning at Marco's. It was quite famous. This London guy really loved what I did, and he put a good word in for me. So I got a gig at the Mud Club in Bagley's,
yeah.
and I decided to try and sell a few tickets to take some of my friends down. I ended up taking 5 coach loads down to London.
Wow.
So they gave me a residency off the back of that. I've told this
Oh,
story a few times, so I apologise to all the people
no.
who've listened to me for years. Yeah, I ended up taking 5 coach loads down, and then the next month for my residency, I think I took 2 coaches, and
Yeah.
then the month after that, I took 2 cars. So, but I was there for a long. I was there for a long time. I was there for a while. Let me just stop very quickly and say, because we've got a few people who are commenting. Can you see the comments, or do you want me to read
No,
them?
no, far
No.
away.
Okay, so Lisa Marlowe says, I always thought Brummy Andy Ward was playing up in Leeds back in the day. I got all my friends from Vocal Booth here: Jodie, Cassandra, Melanie, Angela. Thank you for passing through. And Gary's there as well. Chris Hunter saying, yeah, we all mellowed. We all got soul. Jane saying she loved Wobble as well. I'm not sure we ever spoke that you visited Wobble, Jane, but that's all cool. You mentioned as well Too Tall Simon.
Yes.
I do know now that you and he were friends, but I didn't
yeah,
realise you went back so far.
yes,
And I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
remember. I don't remember. I'm not saying he didn't, because some things just slip through my memory. I
yeah,
don't remember him saying, because I've known him for 10, 11 years now,
yes.
that he knew you, that from back in the day, from uni days.
Yeah, yeah, well, it was before that actually. From because I say he's from Manchester as well, so it was probably from I was probably about 14, 15 when I met Si, and as I say, we had a similar taste in music, and we just kind of shared tunes and so on. We had a mutual friend as well who used to spend quite a lot on because I mean that sort of age, got a lot of disposable income, so it was quite good to have one friend who did have loads of cash.
So you shared the tunes for the mix the next week for the
Yeah, that's
tape.
it. Yeah, in the good old days of can I take that off you? And so he used to buy all the American imports, all the really good stuff, and we just used to kind of borrow it off him and tape it off him. And Si used to get quite a lot. And then when Si did come over to Leeds, he just again being like Mr. Blagger and so on, got on all the mailing lists somehow.
Well,
So he
you
was
say about getting on the mailing list. Check this out. We've got Lenny Fontana passing through saying this is a true house story. Nice one, Lenny. Nice to have you here, bro. We're on it. We're just talking about the music we would have been playing back in the day, and I think you definitely would have been playing some of Lenny's tracks, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes, yeah. Well, I only met him briefly when he came up and DJ'd at Ronson about was it about 12 months ago, something like that. No, it'd be longer than that, obviously, with last year.
Hmm.
It must have been about 18 months ago now. So I followed him um, at one of our outdoor gigs that we do. But as I didn't really get a chance to talk to him because he was shooting off straight afterwards. But yeah, I've got a lot of his tunes. Yeah.
Yeah, a legend indeed.
Absolutely,
We're
absolutely.
honoured to have him.
So you've met Si at the Vocal Booth
He
weekend.
came to Vocal Booth Weekender. He came to the very first one. He's been to pretty much all of them. He had to visit a friend's wedding, a thing that he always reminds me about. He would have been to every single one if it wasn't for this damn wedding. A big supporter, great DJ as well, plays
Yeah,
great music all across the board.
yeah,
So
yeah,
coming back to what you were saying about, yeah, I eventually got to play up and down the country, and kind of honed my sound, really went into the soulful, deeper soulful. Then I was fortunate enough to started going over to Miami, meeting a lot of the Americans. That's where I would have met Lenny.
yeah,
Playing at Garage City, Basics, really the real cool underground places kind of got quite respected within that clique.
yeah.
And then as time progressed, started to play UK garage, started producing, and so on and so forth. But I'm really more interested to hear about your story. I've told my story 1,000 times.
Yeah, well, my story's nowhere near as exciting though. You see, because I mean,
Everybody's story is exciting. Everybody's story is exciting.
no, but I mean, I take it, but I mean, you've carried on with the whole music scene, though, haven't you? And you're still involved with it, and so on.
Well, to a degree, I actually stopped DJing out and about. I started turning down gigs about it. I'm surprised how long ago, 6, 7 years ago now, since I've stopped going out. People still see me on flyers, and because I do the Vocal Booth Weekender and I'll do the odd party.
Yeah,
But yeah, I actually got sick of traveling.
really,
I really stopped enjoying it. And the music, the crowds got pretty rubbish. Now
right,
the crowds would be amazing if we weren't in the
yeah,
middle of this madness.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But it wasn't long after I stopped DJing that everyone started coming back out again. But
yeah,
because I was traveling a lot, playing bigger clubs, the bigger clubs you play, the less quality of the crowds.
yeah, yeah.
But we're talking about me again. Let's get back to
No,
you.
no, no, no. So yeah, so I mean, the Ronson ran from I think it was '92 up until about I think it was about '97, '98, and then after that, I played at a few places around Leeds, odd gigs in kind of Huddersfield, all around the kind of the Yorkshire area. Um, but I must admit that I've kind of fallen out of it a little bit. I mean, at the end of the day as well, you see, it was always kind of a little bit of a hobby for
Hmm.
me. Um, when I went to uni, I mean, the long and short of it is I qualified my main job is a dentist.
Yeah, I knew that.
Um,
I knew that a long time ago.
yeah, yeah. So it was always a little bit difficult trying to fit the two in together, really. Um, because the kind of the mental weekends and so on, you just couldn't really do an awful lot really with that really, and then function really well on the Monday and so on as well. So to be fair, I didn't do a lot for quite a few years, and it wasn't really until probably about 5 years ago that one of the residents, there were four main residents, Paul Murray, decided, look, let's get the band back together. So he started to promote it, and so we just do 2 or 3 a year, which is just great for me because it's just keeping your ear in, get to meet all your old friends again, get to catch up with the lads, the four of us who've been.
So it's Paul, Neil,
And Marshall.
Okay, of course, Marshall. I've met Marshall quite a few times. He used to come down and spin with me. I used to have a residency on a Wednesday night at Baker's in Birmingham, at a place called Decadence.
Yeah.
So Marshall, actually, I'll probably over exaggerate that. I've met him a few times, not many times, but a good guy. I totally forgot about that. And who was the fourth guy?
Me, Neil Metzner.
Paul, yeah, of course. And Andy Ward. Andy Ward. So why did you suddenly? And we'll get back to the story. But why did you then? Now have you started putting your full name on the double barrel name on the flyers?
That was well. That was Lee. That's Lee's fault that he's put it on the flyers for. He's just wanted to completely confuse everybody with the Soulful House DJs. Because I've never DJ'd under the name Warwork at all, so that's just Lee's fault. So
he was probably thinking he didn't want us getting confused. Maybe.
I think really that's really why I wanted to keep it a bit separate.
And we do look quite similar, I'm sure, on the camera. People might have got confused.
That's it, yeah.
Lee Wright, you got a lot to answer for.
Yeah. So that really kind of muddied the waters a little bit, because I think all the other DJs who are probably on the Soulful House DJs are probably thinking, never heard of this Andy Warburton, what's he doing on? Yeah. So, but anyway,
And so you said about 4 years ago, you decided to get all back together and start doing events.
5 years ago, and then we've had a couple of venues, and then the latest one, well, the one where we've done most of them now, is at Mint Club in Leeds, which is great because there's like an outdoor terrace. So it's kind of a real fantastic kind of Ibiza vibe outside. It's all kind of covered over and so on, but the crowd's fantastic. They're just really up for it. All our age group as well, but a few younger ones coming in as well. But it's nice it's been nice during all this madness and so on, is that just keeping in touch with a lot of them, just all posting up saying, when's the next one's coming on. And we did do a few little streams and so on in the early parts of the lockdown last year. We did a stream with all the Ronson residents and stuff, which was good.
Cool. I've got a few of your friends here commenting. Claire Smith says Lenny was ace at Ronson, and you'll always be the favourite Ronson resident. Nadine says dentist by day, DJ by night. How such quality. And forgive me if I slaughter the name. Sharon Dylan Moffat.
All right, yeah, Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
We've missed them this year, Andy, she says, and also tags Neil in there. And my friend Sean says that you're far better looking than me. So that's the kind of friends that I roll with. Big up, Ozzy.
Yeah. When you hung your headphones with friends like that, yeah.
Indeed. So did you get to spin much out of Leeds yourself? Did you go over to Ibiza and things like that?
Yeah, well, Up Your Ronson did an Ibiza stint for it was about 3 or 4 years, and they got bigger and bigger. And they had some real proper big sellouts. I think they recorded one of the highest ever attendances at one of the big. I forget which one it was at. That's Paradise, I think, or one of the wherever it was. And then they got bigger each year, and then I think last time I was out there was probably, it must have been 96, I think. Paul Murray went over and did the residency for the whole summer.
Okay.
Because they did a kind of a weekly thing at Amnesia.
Right.
So I went over for a couple of weeks and just took my tunes over with him and just played with him in Mambo's for a bit. That was obviously in the day before it was,
mental.
yeah, all mental. So, I mean, the times are so different then. I just basically just rocked up, left my tunes in the behind the decks at Mambo's for 2 weeks. Just hopped behind the decks when in middle of the afternoon or whenever. I think slightly different now.
Yeah, just a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
That
just a
that
bit.
back then. Some of my friends went over were working. I mean, this is a totally different story, but Pete Goodin and Steve Lawler,
Yeah,
that
I met Pete.
they were doing the afternoons at Mambo. Uh,
Yeah,
Steve
that,
le-
that
Steve
that's yeah,
left.
that's where I met Pete over there.
They both
Which
left Birmingham because they were disillusioned with the scene totally. And
yeah,
look at their success stories now. It's
yeah, yeah,
incredible,
yeah.
really. So you started off saying that around 98, 99, you decided that you needed to focus on the career. Is that what you did?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I'm not, I was never pushy enough to really promote myself as well. Really, to be fair,
Hmm.
I think you've got to be that sort of person to really go out there and get the gigs. And I don't think I was really driven enough to want to go out and do that really as well. I had a a great residency, had a great time and everything, but I I think it was time to just back rein it in a bit then.
Okay. What about family life?
Married for just gone 13 years. Just had the wedding anniversary last week. So yeah, to
Congratulations.
hi Katie. So yeah, no kids. We managed to swerve that one. How about yourself?
Yeah, married. I've been married for 28 years.
Wow,
Been with my wife 30 years this year.
wow,
We got
yeah,
together before I started DJing, and we got my son's 20 and my daughter's 21. So and
wow.
we moved over to Spain in 2003. So we've been here 18
Oh,
years now, and it's insane to think how long we've been here.
lovely there.
It's really crazy. I hadn't. I was traveling a lot when we moved to Spain, but it was only when we released Strings of Life that I really started to travel a lot more, get a lot
Yeah,
better gigs. But the shine soon wore off
really.
after a few years. Initially, I'm sure
Yeah,
I'm sure you go to all these places, and again, this is a story that I've told many times when anyone asks me. You go to these places, it's incredible. You getting to go to Dubai, Bahrain,
yeah,
King Kong, Hong Kong, all these kind of places. But then slowly but surely, it takes a few years, but
yeah.
eventually it's just not all it's cracked up to be. The
No,
one thing that I am grateful for that I only used to go away over a weekend and I'd always be back and take care of the kids through the
right.
week. So I have got a great relationship with my kids.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, fun times.
Nice that you stayed grounded with that then, really, because I mean, I suppose that there must be so many. Obviously, there's so many stories of people who find the fame that obviously they had with all the kind of Strings of Life, Soul Central, and all that lot, and travelling around all over the place. Who obviously just lose it.
Mm.
And
I was
people
close a few times. I was close a few times, which actually reminds me, while people are watching, if you don't mind, Dan, I just want
yeah,
to bring this little slideshow up here that I've got a couple of other talks that I've got going on in a few weeks. We're going to be talking about the Soulful House sound. Another show that I do is called the Soulful House Mafia. Also going to be talking to Mark and Emma Wilkinson about e-colours. And then in a few weeks' time, I'm going to be having quite an in-depth conversation about, I haven't got a drink or a drug problem, or have I? Those are all coming up on a channel, two different channels that I've got. I stepped away from the DJing, but I love doing this now. I love talking to people. I've been inspired by Mark Wilkinson, who I'll be talking to again on Tuesday. I'm sure you know who Mark is.
yeah,
And also by Lenny's True House Stories, listening to some of the tales and the people that I've known for a long time, but just hearing stories told in a way that I've never heard before,
yeah, yeah.
hearing the same story told by seven different people, and the timeline's always so very different, and it's incredible. And I just love communicating with people, and I've got a really nice little setup here that I'm playing around with, and slowly but surely we're getting more people watching, so I appreciate that. It's really good.
Fantastic.
And so you're loving being back on the decks now. You get to do it for
Oh
the
yeah,
live streams every now and again.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It has. It's been really good, and I think kind of getting into all the newer technology because I'd not really seen a lot of the residents. I'd not seen Neil and Paul and Marshall for probably probably 4 or 5 years. And then when Paul reached out, and then we just kind of all just met up one night round at Paul's. He got all involved with all the how to use Tractor. He had all this setup and everything with his laptop and everything, whereas I was still in the dark ages with my vinyl. But I had gone on to CDJs by that time, but it was just revolutionary. It was like, what? So that was really good that I kind of got involved with that. Bought a laptop, bought a couple of CDJs and everything, which was great. And then we just went from there. Really, it was just great. Then just to meet up every few months and just have a bit of a jam session round at one of our houses and stuff. And yeah, it was just great just to see the guys again and just to listen to the tunes. Because I must admit, I'd kind of gone off the boil with listening to music and well, buying music and stuff as well. I just kind of going through all my old stuff, but I took my finger right off the pulse for new stuff coming through. But it's nice to listen now just to some of the new stuff that's out, because there's some really good stuff out there.
Who's floating your boat at the moment, or in the last 12 months? Would you say that?
I mean, Dr. Packer can't really do wrong at the moment for me, and kind of Michael Gray and Mitch. Very kind of mainstreamish sort of stuff, but fantastic for like new edits and things like that. And there's some great stuff out. And Joey Negro and Dave Lee.
Yeah.
And and there's a lot of good stuff out.
How
about yourself?
Well, as you can tell, I've got one or two pieces of vinyl that I still do my radio show every other Sunday, and I don't have to put any preparation into it. I'll go grab an armful of records.
Yeah.
Got my decks there, and I'll clean them and just play them to the people who are listening at the time. It's not really a mix per se, it's playing the records and chatting. I do listen to a lot of my friends who are DJs. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there will be the odd tune every now and again. I mean, there's still amazing music out there, don't get me wrong, but there's not a great deal that I feel I have to have in my library, because I've got hundreds of thousands of digital tracks as well as my collection. So and I'm still just getting to rediscover this music that I've had for 25 years. So I don't need new music as such, because I'm not doing new gigs. But every now and again I will hear a podcast, or a friend will post a link, and I'll say, I need that just to have it in the collection. So there are some great tunes out there. I couldn't reel off any names because but that some people that have we've seen come through the ranks at Vocal Booth are now producers, and they're doing some brilliant stuff. I've just built a website for the legend that is Tom Moulton, and I'm listening to a lot of the old stuff that he's remastered. And
out at the moment, isn't he? I've seen on Bandcamp and whatever. Or was it Juno that he's putting?
Yeah, well, he was on Bandcamp, but now he's moved over onto his own website. A fantastic website, if I do say so myself.
Oh, really?
So yeah, he's got a lot of new edits and new mixes that were previously unavailable on there. I'm just looking in the chat. I got a few people. People are still conversing here. Or Lee down in Newquay. Shouts out to Lee. Thank you. Also, Side Grace. Yeah, we had a nice conversation on Tuesday. And Lee Wright passes through and says, "Evening Wards. Yeah, your ears must have been burning, Lee. We were just talking about you with the cock up on the flyer. Why you have to mess things up and put the man's government name on the flyer." That's what we say. We put my government name on the flyer for.
Definitely my Sunday name wall work, dear me. That's my 9 to 5, Monday to Friday name.
So tell us about that. Then the progression of your career. Do you have your own practice, or do you work for someone else?
Work for someone else. I've been there for 27 years. Whew, dear me. And yeah, it's good. So I'm pretty much all private now, which is great for me because it means I can do some really good stuff without all the constraints of the NHS. So it's a really big practice, but nice client base, patient base, I should say. But yeah, it's good. But you've got to keep the interest going as well. So I'm doing a bit of a course at the moment down in Solihull.
Okay.
Yeah, so doing that tomorrow. So all day tomorrow. So bit of dentistry tomorrow.
One of my friends on my Facebook wall said earlier, you may have read he went to see me play in Newcastle, and it was actually you that was playing, not
Okay.
me. And for some reason, you didn't actually turn up anyway, and it was some reggae night. He was saying.
Oh, really?
So Lee ask him if he's ever played in Newcastle. We're just talking. I'm sure you probably don't even want to talk about your dentist work, but my daughter was working in the local clinic here. She was a receptionist, and obviously going to the dentist myself from time to time. The advances in technology now are
Yeah, yeah,
insane, aren't they?
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely insane. And the dentist that she worked at, he was a really great guy. He was so his time management. There must be new courses or something. It was like every moment he would go to one room while this what would you call them, assistant or
Yeah,
that were doing something else. He would go to a different patient and bouncing around, and I just used to sit there in awe of how it was like I'm sure all clinics are like that now. Clinic practice,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Clinic, yeah, practice, yeah,
clinic
yeah,
or
yeah,
practice.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a challenging 12 months anyway,
Hmm.
because we had to close obviously for a couple of months, which was unheard of. We were just kind of manning the phones, just giving advice, and that's all we could do really. Which is really difficult when you've got one of your patients ringing up who's in agony with toothache, and then you can't do anything about it because obviously we couldn't let anybody in the practice
Hmm.
with COVID, because of COVID restrictions and so on. So it was a mental year, and then we're still getting there. We've still got to wear all the kind of full on face masks and things like that when you're doing any drilling and things like that. Um, so yeah, but we're getting there though with
Yeah, slowly but
vaccinations and
surely.
everything.
Merv, DJ, Analyzer says, interesting chat. You guys should do a gig together. Well, I'm in no rush to go to Leeds, but if you ever want to come to Spain, mate, I'm sure we
I
could
mean,
have.
why on earth would I want to come to sunny Spain? I
I'm
mean,
sure we could do
what's that?
something together at the vocal booth, have a little bit of fun around the poolside, and
Absolutely.
Andy Ward back to back with Andy Ward.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm definitely up for that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We're,
yeah.
we're this year we're doing it again in October, but we're
Yeah,
doing it on a smaller scale theme. But next year definitely. But hold me to that. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not one
absolutely.
to make empty promises.
No,
It'll
no,
be nice to me,
absolutely.
especially now you told me that the music that you were playing, because as I'm sure yourself, there's way too many hours in the day. There's not enough hours in the day, and way too
Yeah.
many great sets to hear. So I didn't actually ever get around to seeing your live streams that you did.
Well, I've posted a few mixes up on SoundCloud. No,
Okay,
Mixcloud I'm on. So yeah, if you forget the name, it's Andy Ward.
Andy
So yeah,
Ward.
yeah, Andy Ward UYR, just to be yeah, yeah. But yeah, I've posted a few on there, and I think Lee posts a few up on when we've done the Soulful House.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think I'm doing a
So you did start to say you got the CDJs and everything now. Have you still got the turntables? I don't know if you did mention. I'm sorry, I forgot.
yeah, yeah. I've still got my Technics. Yeah, I don't really do a lot with them, to
Do
be
you think you
fair.
could? Would you be able to get on there?
Yeah,
Were you a good mixer?
not
Back,
bad. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Steady away. Yeah, yeah, not bad.
So
Um,
are we gonna have a challenge? No, I'm only joking.
oh, if I start practicing now, I should be okay for next
For
year.
for next October. What was your mixing style? How would you put your mixing style down? Were you like a blender? Were you ever the left to right
Steady,
crossfader busy?
steady blend,
Yeah,
seamless.
not
Yeah,
back in the day, sort of like choppy crossfader business.
not really. No, not massively imaginative. If I'm quite honest with you, but yeah, yeah, steady.
Good,
Yeah.
good. I will definitely go and check some of them. Definitely go and check some of them out. See what I'm up against.
So tell me about Soul Central then.
What is it to tell you? We started making myself and Timmy Vegas started making music in 1999 2000. We were working pretty much 5 days a week. We set up our own record label around about the time. So we were pressing up a couple of thousand records at a time. I think it was the first one we put out. Louis Vega signed it. It's called A Song for Sharma. Really nice record. So Louis signed that to Masters at Work. So that was incredible. Then we did some. I was going to say bootlegs, but that isn't incorrect. Somebody else must have bootlegged it apparently. So rumor would have it, um, yeah, the Strings of Life came out early 2000s, and then it it got signed to Whistle Bump, and that was like 2003, and then Defected picked it up. And you were all right then. You were looking fine with that sun beaming through the window.
Could you see that sun?
Yeah,
That's the sun. That is.
that's
That's the sun.
incredible. Yeah, do you want to see mine? So yeah, it was great. It was really good. You know, I got to see all the world because of it.
Yeah.
And then even when I moved to Spain and Timmy stayed in Birmingham, we continued to make music together. I'd fly over backwards and forwards. And then as I got disillusioned with the whole scene, we kind of petered out. But
Yeah.
Timmy now works with another guy called Matt McKillop. Um, I was more than happy for Timmy to continue using the name Soul
Yeah.
Central, and I help,
Yeah.
wherever I don't help wherever I can. I'm more than happy to push
Yeah.
their brand out
Yeah.
there, and they've got some great tunes out now. So yeah, I had fun with Soul Central.
Yeah.
Some really great moments. That's a whole interview in itself. I think Timmy and I did an interview in this very room one time.
Yeah.
Both of us a little bit blottoed for 3.5 hours talking about and all the tunes that we made. It was good fun.
Did you put out one with India on vocals at one
That
point?
was it. Yeah, that was the bootleg that somebody did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
No. No. Well, I've got a copy of it.
Okay, Lover Who Rocks You.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big
Yeah.
tune.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
the support.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we have similar taste in music.
Brilliant, isn't
Yeah.
it? I'm just looking at the content here. Claire again says she loves the Mixcloud. Sharon's telling me I have to experience an Up Your Ronson party,
Absolutely.
and Claire is asking me if I know Soul Fusion. Yes, of course I do. I used to play for KJ a fair bit, and Soul Fusion doing some great parties now in Birmingham as well. And Merv is reminded me when we were doing our vocal booth weekend of reunions in Birmingham, we all stayed over, and on a Sunday night we were just in a local pub doing karaoke, and someone told the woman to put Strings of Life on, and I was going, "Oh, this is my song, this is my song," and I was that blind drunk I couldn't remember any of the words, and they'll never let me forget it. You know, they'll never let me forget it. But
I
good
like that.
memories. It's nice, you know. I'm very proud to be able to say that. Yeah, I had a top 10 hit. You know,
Absolutely.
um, it doesn't come with all the fame and fortune that people believe it does, but at the same time, it's still a little feather in the cap,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
bragging rights, so to speak.
Definitely.
Um, there was something I was going to say about that whole Strings of Life thing, and it's gone totally out of my head now. But yeah, I don't know. I like listening to other people's stories. I don't really like telling my own. I felt, I've been on the radio for 20 odd years, and every
Yeah.
week I get drunk, and every week I say the same thing to the people that listen to me. So I don't need to be saying it again on Friday night.
It's good
Um,
for me 'cause I've not heard any of the stories before. You see that this is fantastic.
well, it's definitely one for over a beer and
Absolutely.
beer and some sangria.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So well, it's nearly o'clock over here now. You see.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I'm conscious because when I interview people, we can chat for days on end. But as I say, I really do think it's a Friday night. People want to start getting into their mixes. They want to get into their music.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to get into your beer. And I think we achieved what we wanted to achieve. We've broke the ice,
Absolutely.
and the invitation is there for us to meet on these sunny shores.
That's fantastic.
If
Whereabouts in Spain are you?
Alicante
Um,
province, but I'm like 45 minutes south from Alicante airport. I live
right.
right on the beach. Not nice little unassuming area, just like myself. Shy, retiring, and unassuming. So
Fantastic.
that's how I like it.
Just like you, I'm getting that vibe. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, shy away from the limelight. And on that note, mate, I think I will leave you about your Friday evening, Sunday. I was going to say
Well,
then.
it's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you, Andy.
And
And
you, man.
yeah, let's not leave it 30 years next time. And
Most definitely.
I'll definitely get my mixing skills up for the Battle of the DJs next year.
There you go. We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it
Absolutely.
happen. I'm going to turn you off and I'm just going to say a few final words. Thanks, man. Enjoy
Take care.
Friday. See you later, bro. And he's gone. Right, I'm going to end him from Zoom meeting there. That was nice, wasn't it? That was really nice. And genuinely, we've been exchanging one or two messages on Facebook just to set it all up. But as I like to do, get to know the people I'm interviewing there. So it's not scripted, it's not pre planned, and it feels as natural as can be. Thank you for being here, guys. We had a nice little turnout of viewers. Thank you to the people who have been commenting, anyone that came back and watched the recording. Pretty interesting stuff, wasn't it? We've. Yeah, we probably could have gone a lot deeper talking about the, there's we've both got really, really big stories, I'm sure, but they'll save. They'll save for another day. But I do want to, because you're here on my profile now, and I posted on my profile because the other pages that I have, I did start off by struggling to get people's attention because there's just so much content out there, but it is actually starting to pick up momentum now. So if you haven't seen, every Tuesday night I do live Facebook talks, very much like this. I'm joined by various people. Tuesday at 7 o'clock UK time, every Tuesday, 7 o'clock UK time, I have two channels. One is called Inspire and Be Inspired, where I talk about everything from dealing with grief to how to take care of your mental health. I'm going to be talking about fitness, food, going to be having a very in-depth conversation, in-depth conversation and an honest and open discussion about whether or not we have drink and drugs problems, and something else as well that's gone clean out of my head. And then the second Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday of the month, I will do a talk called the Soulful House Mafia. Myself, Lee Wright, and Craig Bartlett, occasionally joined by Mark Wilkinson, will be in conversation with some of the players that made the Soulful House sound so big in the UK. And we're going to do that, as I say, in between the inspirational talks. Get my words out. I haven't even had a glass of wine yet. So basically, Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. Come by and say hello. Yes, so this Tuesday I'm talking to Mark and Emma Wilkinson. We're having a very interesting discussion about e-colours, how you can get to know yourself that little bit better and the people who in your life, whether that's your personal life or in your workplace. And then the following Tuesday, I'm going to be talking to none other than Spoonie and Chrissy T from Garage City. Big talks up and coming. Okay, guys, it is almost 7 p.m. Head on over. Well, it is for me. It's almost 6 p.m. for you. Head on over to Pressure Radio because DJ Analyzer, the Analyzer, is about to entertain you. Get your Friday night rocking and rolling. Thanks, guys. I love you. See you later.